The Arrive Factor's on tonight.
Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain.
Perhaps the strongest statement in the debate last night came from Carly Fiorina, who challenged America to stop the barbarity coming out of Planned Parenthood. Tonight, we'll have the inside story on that.
She's got a beautiful face, and I think she's a beautiful woman.
Donald Trump backing down from Ms. Fiorina's withering implied criticism. We'll take a hard look at that situation.
I didn't suggest that nothing be done. What I suggested to President Bush is to be Kennedy-esque.
Does Dr. Ben Carson believe confronting the Taliban in Afghanistan was the wrong thing to do? The doctor will be here tonight.
Most people have gotten bored after reading, like 10 or 12 because they're boring.
Also ahead, Hillary Clinton mocking the email controversy on Jimmy Fallon. Is that appropriate?
Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. What America learned from the second Republican debate, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Consensus is for Carly Fiorina, the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard and a political outsider, won the debate last night. I believe Ms. Fiorina did very well, but that Senator Marco Rubio was just a bit stronger because Ms. Fiorina at times looked a bit dour out there, and disposition matters in any debate. But it is truly incredible that a businesswoman, Ms. Fiorina, and a businessman, Donald Trump, are schooling veteran politicians, men who have run states and who are serving in Congress. But that's what's happening. Very simply, Ms. Fiorina came across as powerful last night.
On day one in the Oval Office, I will make 2 phone calls. The first to my good friend Bibi Netanyahu to reassure him we will stand with the state of Israel. The second to the Supreme Leader to tell him that unless and until he opens every military and every nuclear facility to real anytime, anywhere inspections by our people, not his, we, the United States of America, will make it as difficult as possible to move money around the global financial system. We can do that. We don't need anyone's cooperation to do it.
Since polling shows many Americans, perhaps most, oppose the Iranian nuke deal, Carly Fiorina scored big with that assessment. Now, the other debate headline, it was unfair. The whole thing was unfair. 3 hours far too long. When people get tired, they make mistakes. But in truth, there were few mistakes made on the debate stage last night. All 11 primetime contenders put forth cogent arguments. There were no gaffes. The real unfair part was the distribution of time. For example, Mike Huckabee got only 3 questions and spoke for just over 9 minutes. By contrast, Donald Trump was asked 13 questions, spoke for 18 and a half minutes, far more than any other candidate on the stage. Jeb Bush was second with 15 and a half minutes speaking. The CNN moderator is obviously using Trump to stir up controversy. But in doing that, they virtually ignored people like Huckabee, Governor Walker, and Governor Kasich. It's impossible to make an impression when in a 3-hour forum, you get to speak for less than 10 minutes, as those 3 men did. Television is a brutally competitive enterprise, but I submit that these debates should be taken out of the commercial arena, no advertisements at all. That way you wouldn't have pressure to create incidents and controversy, and you would have more time in a reasonable 2-hour debate to let the candidates speak. Look, this country's in trouble. We all know that. And these political debates allow we, the people, to at least get to know the candidates somewhat. Summing up, the debaters did well, but most were not given nearly enough time to make their points. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, telling the truth. The Washington Post assigned its fact-checking unit to assess what the candidates said in the debate. Joining us now in Washington, Post columnist Glenn Kessler. All right, Mr. Kessler, I want to take Carly Fiorina first. And here's what she said about the Planned Parenthood undercover tapes that show the organization selling the body parts of aborted babies.
As regards Planned Parenthood, Anyone who has watched this videotape, I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain. This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us.
So what did you find out about Ms. Fiorina's statement?
Well, what she's describing, it's where there is one of the videos, there's an interview with a woman who worked at a biotech startup in which they received, fetal tissue from Planned Parenthood affiliates in California. And she does describe this procedure, what she claims she witnessed, where they would harvest the brain. There was no actual footage of that procedure. There was intercutting videos of a fetus from an organization that provides stock footage of abortions. The province of that particular footage is unclear. I've not been able to get any answer from them.
We found out. It's from the Grantham collection, and that is a pro-life group. And what they did was, the group that did the undercover sting was they used that footage, all right, to illustrate what the young woman was saying about the transaction between Planned Parenthood and the organ harvesters. So,
right, exactly.
That subtlety was lost, I think, on Ms. Fiorina. She didn't really know, because it would be impossible to do so, how it all came together. Would that be fair to say?
Right. What we don't really know about that footage is that like a fetus that's about to be used for body parts. That's what's unclear.
Okay. All right. We don't know exactly who the fetus was or anything like that. But I think it's safe to say, but you correct me, that Ms. Fiorina conflated a bunch of things because they were put on the screen at the same time and didn't lie or didn't. She misinterpreted where everything came from. But the point was the same, that this is outrageous. Would that be fair?
Well, I don't offer opinions on abortion. But you're right.
She didn't try to deceive anybody, is what I'm trying to say. All right, the second one.
We didn't. But I should say we made no judgment about whether or not.
If you did,
this is the context in which she made the statement.
If you had made a judgment and you were wrong, I would have called you pinhead. I haven't done that. All right. Now, second one is Bush-Trump about gambling in Florida. Go.
The one guy that had some special interest that I know of that tried to get me to change my views on something that was generous and gave me money was Donald Trump. He wanted casino gambling in Florida.
I didn't want it.
Yes, you did.
Totally false.
You wanted it, and you didn't get it because I was opposed to casino gambling before, during, and after. And that's not, I'm not going to be bought by anybody.
I promise, if I wanted it, I would have gotten it.
When he asked Florida to have casino gambling, we said no.
Wrong.
We said no, and that's the simple fact. The simple
fact
is...
Don't make things up, Jeb.
Okay, what'd you find out?
Well, this is a strange exchange here because the facts are basically on Jeb Bush's side. Donald Trump did want to have gambling in Florida, and Jeb Bush said no. And the Washington Post has had a whole article about this recently in which we quoted Donald Trump talking about it.
Okay.
So
did Trump himself approach Bush about the gambling?
You mean personally?
Yes.
No, I don't. Offhand, I don't recall. I don't believe that. Maybe
so that's where this lies. Trump, as you know, has scores of corporations, and they do a lot of different things, and gambling is one of them. So I think what Trump was saying was, like, I never did any of this. Maybe my people made inquiries about it. That's possible, but I didn't do it. Now, Jeb Bush said the one guy, this is specific, who tried to get me to do casino gambling, tried to buy me, was Donald Trump. And if Trump didn't do that specifically, what do you say?
Well, I think, again, the larger point there is Trump.
No. Answer my question about that. If Bush is saying, you tried to buy me, you gave me money to get casino gambling, and I wouldn't do it, and Trump didn't specifically do it himself,
but his corporation. Well, I still think the facts lie there more with
Okay,
Bush.
I'm playing devil's advocate for you, the devil's advocate, because look, my staff does a lot of things in the booking realm that I don't know about. They try to book you. They try to book you. I didn't call you up to ask you on a factor. Somebody else did. They could say a lot of things. But then if you came out and say, you said this, when that interview, you said you would do this. I didn't say it. So I think that's what Trump was getting at there. I just want to be fair here. I'm not disputing the facts of the matter. I'm disputing the fact that Governor Bush said Trump did it personally, and I don't believe Trump did it personally. I think his guys did it.
Right. I didn't, when I listened to that exchange, I didn't necessarily hear that Trump was personally asking, but certainly Trump.
But that's what Bush was contending, and there's no doubt about that. Okay, final one. Ben Carson, border fence in Yuma, Arizona. Go.
Now, what we need to do is look at something that actually works. Yuma County, Arizona, they stopped 97% of the illegal immigration through there. They put in a double fence with a road so that there was quick access by the enforcement people.
Okay, what'd you find out about that?
Well, that's putting, I think, too much emphasis on the role of the fence there. What you had all sorts of things, including economic factors, that resulted in a decline there. And so putting all of the decline on the fence
is overstating it.
Is overstating.
All right, and we found that as well, that there were a whole bunch of things behind the fence. There were a policy of detention, whereas illegal immigrants knew that Yuma was not a place to go, so they went someplace else. Would that be fair?
Yes, exactly.
That's all we want, Mr. Kessler. Thank you very much for coming on. It was a very interesting segment. Next on the Rundown, Dr. Ben Carson will be here. He graded out in the middle of the pack last night, and I have some questions for him on terrorism. The doctor, moments away.
Every morning, Rudy gets these new Milk-Bone Good Morning Daily Vitamin Treats. They've got nutrients that aren't in most dog foods, and I get stuck with these. Hey, why don't I get a treat? Oh, that's right. I get pancakes. Say it with milk.